All right, if you're watching this, it's because you saw the first one on Monday. Keep in mind you are retaking this test, and the test actually has questions like the ones that are on this worksheet tomorrow. Make sure you copy everything that's on this worksheet for credit, and then make sure you get it back so you can study for that quiz or that test tomorrow so that we can try to get your grade at least close to that passing range. I would say don't worry about the test that's being given to the other students right now, because in the end you've got to make sure you know how to solve. So unless you're planning on making that up some other time, I would just say it's probably not going to hurt you, or at least it's a good test that'll be in for this so that you're in at least passing range, and we can go from there. But anyway, getting back to what we did before and visualizing this, please again write everything that's going on. The first thing we want to do is get rid of the weak attachment, which is the +3. And if you remember our last sheet, what we did was, after we drew that wall, again draw that wall, we moved our 3 by subtracting it. So that 3 is what we moved. This time though, what doesn't change, as you notice, is the 2x, because nothing's different about that 2x. The 3's are gone, the equal sign comes down, the 4 comes down. We now need to get rid of this 2, and the way we get rid of that 2, because it's 2 times x, is dividing by 2, bringing down the x, bringing down the 2. You don't need to show those boxes on your test, but again, if it helps you to visualize it, whatever you need to do to get this stuff right, you need to start doing it, because again, this solving, at some point you won't need the boxes, but you need to be able to see exactly what's going on, and it'll help out. Number 2, again, in this problem with our x with 5 and -1, first thing we're going to get rid of is the weak attachment, which is your plus or minus. So remember, if I see -1, we put +1. Notice again, the piece that did not change is the 5x. That's what comes down. Equals comes down, and 10 comes down. From there, we've got to get rid of this 5. And so therefore, we divide both sides by 5, bringing down x, bringing down 2. That is all. That is every single problem that we have. The only thing that might change is you might multiply after it instead, or it might be flipped around where the 7, for example, this 7 will be in front of the 6, but really that's it. And again, make sure you pause this video as you need to, and don't miss anything, because again, missing anything at all gives you a 0. Again, first thing we're going to do is get rid of this value here. This +7 has to go, and so in order to get rid of +7, as we've learned, we will put -7 on both sides. Bring down the piece that did not change, which is a 6x. Bring down your equals. Bring down your 12. We now need to get rid of this 6, so we do that by dividing by 6. Bringing down x, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. Even if you're not good at the division part, just make sure you understand, if you show all this stuff, you get most of your points anyway, even if you get the final answer wrong, because that's really what it's about, is making sure you can show where it's coming from. The good news is next week you do get calculators. So this will be the last week that you really have to worry about it. The problem is, if you didn't have the discipline to learn the numbers, you got to make sure you turn on the discipline to learn how to use your calculator. So here, 3x minus 7 equals 23. This is what has to go. And so we're going to get rid of that 7 by adding 7. 3x, which we did not touch, comes down. 23 plus 7 is 30. We then have to get rid of this 3, so we get rid of it by dividing by 3. X comes down. 30 divided by 3 is 10, and that is all. The +1 on the next one has to go. So again, we get rid of +1 by putting -1. We then bring down the 9x. We bring down the equals. We bring down the 18, because that's what 19 minus 1 is. Again, the biggest issue most of you had is you had the number, but you forgot that that 9x is the piece. Again, if that's the piece we're moving, everything else needs to come down. Your 9 gets divided, because we're getting rid of that. X comes down with 2. Like I said, it's not a tough thing. It repeats itself over and over. Once you do it a few times, once you actually take the discipline of actually wanting to learn it, I think everything will fall into place. But you've got to actually care enough to stop allowing yourself to miss these things, because again, once you really look at it, you'll see it. We need to get rid of this -5, so we put +5 on both sides. 8x is what we did not touch. Equals comes down. 35 plus 5 is 40. We then need to get rid of this 8, and so we divide both sides by 8, because that's 8 times x, and 40 divided by 8 is 5. It's not tough. The only thing that happens, as we're about to see here, is they move the number in front of the x. But still, the piece we're going to move because of that 6x is this 4. Again, the plus does not belong to the 4, it belongs to the 6x. So this 4 being positive, the way we move it is by using a negative 4. So we put minus 4 on both sides. The 4 goes away. Add that in there. Your 6x comes down. We don't need to put the plus there because we already know it's positive. 28 minus 4 is 24. Now we want to get rid of the 6 by dividing. X comes down with 4, and that is all. Number 8, same thing. We want to get rid of the tag-along number. In this case, the tag-along number is the negative 3. And the way we get rid of negative 3 is by adding 3 to both sides. That goes away. 2x comes down with equals and with 14. You will then divide both sides by 2. And again, that ending is the same over and over and over again. We've literally just either added first and divided second or subtracted first and divided second every single time. You just have to learn how to rewrite the things the right way and take your time and focus a little bit, and you should be okay. Once again, we got to get rid of this negative 5, and so we will do that by putting plus 5 and plus 5. The 5s go away. 3x did not get touched. Equals comes down. 15 comes down. We now need to get rid of this 3, which we do by dividing by 3, getting the answer of x equals 5. Again, make sure you're putting those boxes on all those numbers because it shows me that you're actually following along with the video for credit. And again, it's, at least for the sake of this part, it's showing you that you understand what you're moving. We're moving the 5 first, we're moving the 3 second. We're moving the 3 first, we're moving the 2 second. Some of you, again, when you get down here, you're moving numbers that are up here, but when you get to this level, you're only looking at numbers in this range. You're not looking above the line, you simply look at the line that you're on. This, if you remember your sheet from last time, same thing. We're going to get rid of this plus 2. How do you get rid of plus 2? Well, by putting minus 2. But notice the piece that did not change is this, which is x over 4, and that's how you have to copy it exactly as is. Equals comes down, 4 comes down. Well, if you remember, if this is x divided by 4 and I want to get rid of that, then I have to multiply by 4 on both sides, which makes the 4's go away. X comes down. 4 times 4 is 16. So again, if you got anything out of that last one, that's really where it comes in. So now instead of subtracting and dividing, now we're subtracting and multiplying on all these. So again, we've got to get rid of this 3. So we will add 3 to both sides. The piece that did not change is the x over 5. We now have to get rid of this 5 by multiplying because that says x divided by 5. So x comes down, 35 comes down. That is your answer. On number 12, we need to get rid of this 7 first. The way we get rid of plus 7 is with minus 7. That's not going to change. This piece did not change, so x over 2 equals 2. We now need to get rid of this 2, which is being divided, so we multiply both sides by 2, getting x equals 4. I want you to pay attention to the fact that these two are multiplied, so we divide, and we added a divider by 3. In this one, it was already divided, so we multiplied and put a 2 on the top. That's literally all you're ever going to do in these problems. Nothing is really going to change on these. Now, there are tricky problems that exist, but you want to keep in mind that, again, these are not those tricky problems. These are very repetitive. These are so repetitive after a while that it just gets boring and people make mistakes because they get bored of doing them. We need to move this minus 3 by putting a plus 3 and a plus 3. You then bring down your x over 8. You bring down your equals, and 6 plus 3 is 9. You now have to get rid of this 8, which is being divided. And the way you get rid of a divided 8 is by multiplying by 8, getting x equals 72. On the next one, again, plus 4. The way we get rid of plus 4 is with a minus 4. X over 7 comes down, equals comes down. 6 minus 4 is 2. Now you're looking here, we have to get rid of this 7, so the way we get rid of that 7 being divided is by multiplying. X comes down with 14, and that is it. X over 9 minus 1 equals 4. So again, with this, minus 1 turns to plus 1. X over 9 comes down, equals comes down. 5 comes down. This is x divided by 9. So we get rid of this 9 by multiplying. Getting 45 is our answer. None of this is tough. It just takes practice. It just takes for you to get tired of missing it and actually start trying your best not to miss it. And then you'll start to see the pattern and everything will start to make sense. And again, the only thing you're going to do is move the number. So again, we're going to get rid of the negative 7 by putting plus 7, plus 7. That still has not changed. Equals comes down. 4 and 7 make 11. We got to get rid of this 3, so we multiply both sides by 3. X comes down with 33. Very basic, very straightforward, very simple. Number 17. Get rid of the 2 first by subtracting 2. X over 7 comes down with equals and 3. We now need to get rid of the 7, so we multiply both sides by 7. X comes down with 21. That is our answer. Everything looks the exact same, even though this number moved. Notice we had plus 7 times 3 times 3. Look at this. The number was there. It's still plus 3 times 8 times 8. Minus 4 times 7 times 7. Plus 1 times 9 times 9. Guess what this is going to be? Plus 5 times 2 times 2. Like, you can literally see what you're going to do by looking at this and recognizing that you do the opposite of whatever you see. And we always start in these problems with the number that's being added or subtracted. So minus 5, we move by putting a plus 5. Plus 5, that goes away. Bring down your x over 2. Bring down your equals. Bring down your 6. We then get rid of this 2, which is being divided by multiplying. X comes down. 6 times 2 is 12. These are just bringing things back to your memory from what we did. Literally, it puts it on the other side. There's nothing different. You're still looking at your x. You're still looking at this and saying, okay, this is 2x plus 4. We are going to move the 4 first by subtracting 4 and subtracting 4. 8 minus 4 turns into 4. 2x comes down. You then have to get rid of this 2. So we divide by 2, getting 2 equals x. Leaving everything where it's at, going left to right, not putting x over there. But again, 4 divided by 2 is 2. Equals comes down, x comes down, and that is all. Same thing on 20. First thing we're going to do is get rid of this negative 2 by adding 2. Going left to right, 10 plus 2, 12, equals gone, 4x, which is the only thing that did not change. From there, we want to get rid of this 4, so we will divide by 4. Divide by 4, getting 3 equals x, and moving from there. And then the last question. Again, we are going to move this negative 3. And let me just tell you again, make sure you keep this sheet and study it tonight. You are making up the test tomorrow when you come into class. 5 plus 3 is 8. Equals comes down. That's gone. X over 8 comes down. You now want to get rid of this 8, which is being divided. So you multiply by 8. 8 times 8 is 64. Equals x. And that is all. So once again, make sure your name is on this thing. Give it to your teacher so they can give you your credit, and then move on to whatever is in class. If you probably have to get the worksheet that they're working on and try your best to just kind of see what's going on. It's really nothing that different from what you're doing now. It's just a few more things that you have to look out for. But if you understand this stuff, then you probably can work your way to getting those two. It's not that hard to solve. It just takes a little bit of pride. Outside of that, good luck on your test tomorrow, on your test makeup, and talk to you later.